I want to tell you about a patient. Her name was Lucy. She was 69 years old, retired school teacher, proud grandmother of 4, and every single morning she did everything right. She walked a mile before breakfast. She took her vitamins. She watched her calories. She avoided red meat. She stayed away from alcohol. By every standard measure, Lucy was a health-conscious woman who was doing the work. And yet, every morning, before she could even get out of bed, Lucy spent 15 minutes waiting for her knees to cooperate. Stiff, swollen, burning. Her hands cramped so badly some mornings that she couldn't open a jar, couldn't button her blouse, couldn't pick up her grandchildren. Her doctor told her it was just arthritis. Normal for your age, he said. He wrote her a prescription for an anti-inflammatory and sent her home. But here's what her doctor never asked. Not once. He never asked her what she was eating, because Lucy's diet, the same diet she thought was protecting her, was quietly, steadily, invisibly pouring gasoline onto the fire burning inside her joints every single day. When we finally sat down and went through everything she was putting in her body, I had to take a breath. Because 5 of the foods destroying her joints weren't unusual foods. They weren't junk food. They weren't things most people would ever think to question. They were foods Lucy ate every single day. Foods that are probably sitting in your kitchen right now. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what those 5 foods are, why they are so dangerous for joints after 60 specifically, and what you need to do today. Not next month, not after your next doctor's visit. Today. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you could change the way you move, sleep, and live. I'm Dr. Lisa Johnson, cardiologist with 15 years of clinical experience. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dr. Johnson, you're a heart doctor. What do you know about joints? More than you might expect. Because here's something most people don't realize. Inflammation is the common thread. The same systemic inflammation that attacks the heart muscle, hardens arteries, and raises blood pressure, that exact same biological fire also destroys cartilage, swells joint linings, and accelerates the kind of pain that makes everyday life miserable after 60. In my 15 years of practice, I have sat across from hundreds of patients who came to me for their hearts and left with a completely different understanding of how the foods they were eating were aging their entire body from the inside out, their joints, their kidneys, their brain, their cardiovascular system. It is all connected, and once you understand the connection, the solution becomes clear. Today, I'm speaking out about 5 foods because I have watched too many patients like Lucy suffer needlessly. These foods are marketed as healthy. Some of them carry heart-healthy labels. And for someone over 60, someone whose joints are already more vulnerable, whose inflammatory response is already heightened, they can be genuinely devastating. Let's get into them. Before we go through the list, I need to give you the most important piece of context, because without it, none of this will fully make sense. After the age of 60, your body's relationship with inflammation changes dramatically. When you were younger, inflammation was your friend. You got injured, your immune system flooded the area with inflammatory chemicals, the tissue healed, the inflammation resolved, clean, efficient. But after 60, that system starts to malfunction. Scientists call it inflammaging, a term for the low-grade, chronic, background inflammation that becomes the default state of an aging body. Your inflammatory response no longer turns fully off. It just simmers, quietly, constantly. And that constant simmer eats away at the soft tissue lining your joints. The cartilage, the synovial membrane, the fluid-filled cushions between your bones. Now here's the critical point. Certain foods act like an accelerant on that simmer. They are pro-inflammatory. They trigger your immune system to release inflammatory cytokines, chemical signals that escalate the attack on your joint tissue. And the cruelest part? Some of these foods don't cause instant, obvious pain. They work slowly, subtly, over months and years. By the time you feel the damage, by the time your knees are stiff every morning and your hips ache every night, the harm has already been building for a long time. This is why I cannot stay quiet about this. Because once you know which 5 foods are doing this, the choice is yours. And Lucy's story, which I'll return to at the end, has a very different ending than you might expect. Let's go through them one by one. Food number 1. Vegetable and seed oils. Canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil. This one is going to surprise a lot of people. Because for decades, we were told these oils were the heart-healthy alternative to butter and animal fat. They're still on the shelves with health claims on the label. And I understand the confusion. I genuinely do. But here's the biological reality that most people are never told. Vegetable and seed oils are extraordinarily high in omega-6 fatty acids. Your body needs some omega-6, but the ratio matters enormously. Ideally, your body should maintain roughly a 4-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. Most Americans eating a modern diet are running at a ratio closer to 20-to-1. Some studies put it even higher. Why does that matter? Because when omega-6 fatty acids are metabolized in your body, they produce arachidonic acid. And arachidonic acid is a direct precursor to pro-inflammatory prostaglandins and leukotrienes. These are the exact chemical signals that trigger joint inflammation. They are, quite literally, the biological mechanism behind arthritis flares. Now think about how much vegetable oil you're consuming without even realizing it. It's in your salad dressings. It's used to cook your restaurant meals. It's in crackers, bread, frozen meals, and packaged snacks. I've seen this in my patients again and again. A man named Thomas, 71 years old, former marathon runner, came to me convinced his knee pain was simply the price of his athletic past. When we reviewed his diet, he was cooking everything in canola oil, every single meal. We made one substitution, extra virgin olive oil, which is rich in oleocanthal, a compound with anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen. Within 6 weeks, Thomas told me his morning stiffness had cut in half. What to do? Replace vegetable and seed oils with extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or a small amount of butter from grass-fed cows. Ask your doctor to check your inflammatory markers, specifically CRP or C-reactive protein. If it's elevated, your diet may be the first place to look. Food number 2. White bread, white rice, and refined carbohydrates. I know, you've heard this before, but I need you to hear it again, because I want to explain the specific joint destruction mechanism that most explanations leave out. When you eat refined carbohydrates, white bread, white pasta, white rice, pastries, most breakfast cereals, your body breaks them down almost instantly into sugar. Your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas releases a surge of insulin to manage that spike. And here is what happens next that almost nobody talks about. That insulin surge triggers the production of something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. And if you remember one thing from this section, remember this. AGEs are extraordinarily destructive to collagen. Collagen is the structural protein that holds your joints together. It's the scaffolding of your cartilage. When ages accumulate, and they accumulate faster as we age, they cause collagen fibers to cross-link and stiffen. They make cartilage brittle, less elastic, less able to absorb impact, and they trigger inflammatory pathways that accelerate cartilage breakdown. After 60, your body is already producing less collagen naturally. The last thing your joints need is a dietary assault on what little remains. I had a patient, Eleanor, 64, who was a proud breakfast person. Toast, orange juice, a small bowl of cereal, every morning. She thought she was being sensible. When we replaced her breakfast with 2 eggs, half an avocado, and some berries over a 3-month period, her rheumatologist called me, stunned. Her joint stiffness scores had dropped significantly without any medication change. What to do? Begin your shift away from refined carbs by targeting your breakfast first. Swap white bread and cereal for protein and healthy fat. Ask your doctor about testing your HbA1c. Even without diabetes, elevated blood sugar accelerates joint damage in older adults. Food number 3. Margarine and anything labeled low-fat or light. Here's one of the most damaging food myths of the last 50 years, and older adults have been living with the consequences of it in their bodies. When fat was demonized beginning in the 1970s, the food industry replaced it with two things: refined sugar and partially hydrogenated oils, otherwise known as trans fats. These trans fats were used in margarine, in low-fat processed snacks, in commercial baked goods, in coffee creamers, in everything marketed as a healthier alternative. Here's what trans fats do inside your joints. They disrupt cell membrane function throughout your body. They interfere with the production of anti-inflammatory compounds. They increase LDL, the harmful cholesterol, while simultaneously lowering HDL, the protective kind. And critically, they directly stimulate the production of inflammatory cytokines, the same chemical messengers that attack joint tissue. The FDA banned partially hydrogenated oils in 2018, but here's the loophole most people don't know about. If a product contains less than 0.5 grams of trans fats per serving, manufacturers are legally allowed to list it as 0 grams on the nutrition label. So you can eat multiple servings of a product and be consuming meaningful amounts of trans fats while the label says 0. And the low-fat problem goes further. Low-fat yogurts, low-fat salad dressings, reduced-fat peanut butter. When fat is removed, it is almost always replaced with sugar, corn syrup, or starches, which brings us right back to the AGE problem from food number 2. What to do? Stop buying anything labeled low-fat, light, or reduced fat unless you read every ingredient. Look specifically for the phrase partially hydrogenated oil anywhere in the ingredient list. If it's there, put it back. Real fat from whole food sources, avocado, olive oil, nuts, eggs, is not your enemy. Inflammatory fats are. Food number 4. Sugary beverages, including fruit juice. I want to specifically call out fruit juice here, because I know many of you are drinking orange juice or apple juice every morning, believing it's a healthy choice. And I say this with genuine compassion. It is one of the most inflammatory beverages you can put in your body after 60. Here's why. A standard 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains approximately 21 grams of sugar, nearly the same as a can of soda. And unlike soda, juice carries the psychological shield of it's natural. But your bloodstream doesn't distinguish between natural fructose and processed fructose. It sees sugar. Excess sugar, particularly fructose, drives a specific process in your liver called de novo lipogenesis. Your liver converts that excess fructose into triglycerides. Elevated triglycerides are directly linked to systemic inflammation, and that inflammation lands everywhere, including your joints. There's more. High sugar intake also depletes your body's magnesium reserves. Magnesium is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those that regulate inflammation and maintain cartilage integrity. Patients with arthritis consistently show lower magnesium levels than healthy controls, and one of the fastest ways to drain your magnesium is a high-sugar diet. Beyond juice, I'm talking about sweetened coffee drinks, sports drinks, which many seniors use mistakenly thinking they're helpful, flavored waters, and sweet tea. What to do? Replace juice with the whole fruit. The fiber in a whole orange fundamentally changes how your body processes the sugar. It slows absorption, blunts the insulin response, and protects the liver. Drink water, herbal tea, or black coffee. If you want something with flavor, infuse water with cucumber, lemon, or fresh mint. These are not small changes. These are joint-changing changes. Food number 5. Processed meats, deli meats, sausage, bacon, hot dogs. This one is for everyone who thinks they're eating a reasonable, protein-rich diet because they're having deli turkey on whole wheat or a few strips of bacon with their eggs. Processed meats are among the most studied pro-inflammatory foods in the entire scientific literature, and the mechanism operates on multiple levels simultaneously. First, advanced glycation end products. Processed meats are cooked at high heat, smoked, cured, grilled, fried, and this process generates massive amounts of AGEs. Remember, AGEs directly attack collagen in your joints. Second, nitrates and nitrites. These are the preservatives used in virtually all deli meats, hot dogs, and cured sausages. When nitrates react with the proteins in your digestive tract, they form compounds called nitrosamines, which are potent inflammatory triggers. Studies have linked high nitrate consumption to increased levels of C-reactive protein, one of the primary inflammatory markers associated with joint damage. Third, saturated fat content combined with the absence of fiber. Processed meats contain no fiber, and fiber is essential for feeding the gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, the compounds responsible for regulating your body's inflammatory response. An inflamed gut leads to an inflamed body. An inflamed body leads to inflamed joints. I think about a patient named Gerald, 73 years old, a retired firefighter, proud of his diet, ham sandwich every day for lunch, a few slices of bacon on weekends. He couldn't understand why his shoulder pain wasn't responding to physical therapy. When we eliminated processed meats for 60 days, his inflammatory markers dropped measurably. His physical therapist noticed the difference before Gerald even reported it. What to do? Replace processed meats with whole protein sources: canned wild salmon, hard-boiled eggs, grilled chicken breast cooked fresh, a small handful of walnuts, which also contain joint-protective omega-3s. Ask your doctor to order an HSCRP test, a high-sensitivity C-reactive protein test, to get a baseline measure of your internal inflammation. It costs almost nothing and tells you a great deal. Now, I want to come back to Lucy, because Lucy's story doesn't end with morning stiffness and a prescription she didn't really need. 6 weeks after we identified these 5 foods in her diet and began replacing them, systematically, not all at once, just one swap at a time, Lucy called my office. She said something I'll never forget. She said, "Dr. Johnson, I walked to the park this morning, and when I got home, I just kept going." She walked 2 miles that morning, the first time in 4 years. I am not telling you that food changes are a cure. I am not asking you to throw away your medications or cancel your doctor's appointments. What I am telling you, as a cardiologist who has watched the body's interconnected systems respond to exactly this kind of dietary shift, is that the food you eat is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory tools available to you, and you have full control over it starting today. You are not powerless against joint pain. You are not simply aging. You have the ability to change the inflammatory environment inside your body, and that matters enormously for how you feel, how you move, and how many years you spend living actively rather than managing pain. Let's bring it all together. Here are the 5 foods I urge you to reduce or eliminate starting today. Number 1. Vegetable and seed oils, canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower, which flood your body with pro-inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. Replace them with extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Number 2. White bread, white rice, and refined carbohydrates, which spike blood sugar, produce AGEs, and directly attack the collagen holding your joints together. Start with your breakfast. Swap one refined carb meal per day for protein and healthy fat. Number 3. Margarine and anything labeled low-fat or light, which are almost always loaded with trans fats or inflammatory sugar substitutes. Read the ingredient list every single time. Number 4. Sugary beverages, including fruit juice, which drive systemic inflammation, destroy magnesium reserves, and accelerate joint degeneration. Replace juice with the whole fruit today, right now. Number 5. Processed meats, deli meats, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, which generate AGEs, deliver inflammatory nitrates, and strip your gut of the fiber it needs to regulate your body's inflammatory response. Switch to whole protein sources. Here is your one action for today. Go to your kitchen. Open your pantry. Find one of these 5 categories. Make one swap, just one, and commit to it for 2 weeks. One swap, 2 weeks. That's it. See how your body responds, because your joints will notice before you do. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 5 foods surprised you the most? Was there something on this list you had no idea was connected to joint pain? Tell me below. I read your responses, and they help me know what to address next, because this channel exists for you. Everything I've shared today is general health information, grounded in published research and my 15 years of clinical experience. Your situation is unique. Before making any changes to your medications or care routine, please speak with your own physician who knows your full medical history. That conversation is always worth having. I'm Dr. Lisa Johnson. Stay informed, stay strong. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.